Let's go now to Independent MP Dai Le. Dai, thanks so much for your time. I first wanted to ask you about this. Has this been on your radar, the workers' compensation scheme?
No, it hasn't really, but I've heard about it. That's going through state parliament, and just listening. Then, I think, obviously there are quite a few layers there that we need to peel back. One is obviously workers in a workplace who are incapacitated, not able to work physically, mentally, all of those issues. We need to obviously look at a way to assess fairly, and how do we assess that so that they can be either a productive worker in the workforce, and if not, how do we care for them? It is going to be a challenge, I think. Listening to what we've just the report just then, the cost of premiums is going to go up, and of course, at the end of the day, taxpayers will have to foot the bill every time. Ordinary mums and dads and people who are, in my electorate of Fowler, working in factories, retail workers, getting such, minimum wage and have to foot the bill because of the taxes they'd be paying towards schemes such as that. So that is a very, obviously, it has led to have grown so big over the decades, and we need to ensure that the genuine people who actually cannot work, and the system was set up to look after that, and how this kind of system don't get abused at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a really fine balance and a really good question about how you achieve that as well. I want to ask you about Bradfield. One final brutal insult for the Liberal Party, losing another blue ribbon seat like Bradfield. I mean, this on paper should be exactly the people voting for the Liberals. What do you make of that?
Well, I suppose at the end of the day, the people decided, and it was a very tight race, very, very, very tight race. So I congratulate the independent, Nicole, I think, can't pronounce
Nicolette Boele. I'll help you out.
And congratulate her on winning the seat, and of course to Giselle, who I believe did her best to win the seat, but it was a very tight race. So it is, I think, time for the Liberals, because there's so many independents in Liberal seats propping up, and our current preferencing systems with the Labor and Greens supporting independents, of course, that's going to be hurting the Liberal votes a lot. So
we've seen a lot of women elected this time around. Labor's overrepresented that, of course, as they do have this thumping majority in the House. And I want to ask you about this in the context of some comments made by Alan Stockdale. Now, this is not a pile-on, but I think it is quite interesting. Alan Stockdale in the organisational arm of the Liberal Party in New South Wales. And I don't know what context he said this in. I don't know whether it was tongue-in-cheek, but anyway, he said it and he's apologised for it. He said women are becoming so assertive they might need reverse quotas for men in the future. What do you think is at the core of that? I don't want to be flippant about it, but yeah, there is a lot of assertive women. There's more women getting into Parliament, as there should be, but not in the Liberal Party, I would say. What do you make of that and the view of women being more assertive in politics, and whether this is to the detriment of men? Because I think that's what Alan was trying to get at.
Look, I read somewhere what he said, and I thought, again, in as you mentioned, Laura, the context of how he said it, and we weren't there, so we don't know how that was put forward. But in terms of the issue of women, I myself have become assertive over the years, especially for a woman of a refugee background. I used to be very shy, believe it or not, and it's the lived experiences and life has made me more assertive. And you can ask my husband that. He'd say 30 years ago I wasn't that as assertive. But you learn through life. And I think women are increasingly become more assertive. But I hope that it's not at the detriment of men. And I hope that it's about having an equal way to treat each other equally. And that's in our household. I've got my husband, my son, and we have conversations, and it's great so that women don't feel like they don't have a voice. And it's how men treat women, and how we coexist, men and women, right? So it's about treating each other with respect and having conversations, and being able to have disagreements and not be labelled, of being assertive. But that's just, I think it's great to see more women stepping up. Not a lot, but especially in the migrant and multicultural community, you won't see that many. But it's, in the wider, if I can say the word, white Anglo-Celtic women, it's probably more of that happening than, say, in a multicultural community.
Well, hopefully they take